Hello everyone, today I'm going to walk you through the Waikiki Aquarium in beautiful Oahu, Hawaii. Welcome everybody to the Reef. I know it's been a while since I produced a video. If you've seen my last one, you would know that I'm away from my reef tank to visit Hawaii for 3 months on a work trip. And I'm working on some fun scuba diving and snorkeling videos in some of the reefs around here. But I thought I would do a little walkthrough of a really cool aquarium in Waikiki in Honolulu. It's the Waikiki Aquarium. One thing that I really love about this aquarium is it's essentially developed by Hawaiian Institute for Marine Biology. So the scientific content here is super. There's a couple of outdoor exhibits. One of them is almost 8,000 gallon exhibit of the life in the fish and the corals that you would see on shallow rock pools around the island. It's got lovely, really cool, beautiful fish from Hawaii, right? We all know yellow tangs and so many other species of cool tangs that live here. It's got some corals. Unfortunately, a lot of the hard corals, as you could see, are probably like not doing that great, and most of them are kind of bleached out. But there's certainly some soft corals in the water. So some of the highlights here include really, really like fantastic and majestic tangs. This is the triggerfish, the state fish of Hawaii. Some really cool invertebrates. And the views are really unique, just to be able to stick your head over the reef and see all of these really amazing fish cruising in and out. So definitely a really cool highlight of the aquarium. Another highlight was seeing a lovely Achilles tang in this coral farm exhibit. And the corals were nice, but the Achilles tang, man, was it like super healthy, super showy. I've never seen one in real life, and they're majestic creatures. In the same tank was another fish that I was super happy to see. This is commonly known as the red chorus wrasse or the yellow-tailed chorus wrasse. I've always seen them on my LFS. They're not reef safe. They will eat your invertebrates and turn over corals and so on. But man, they are so pretty. I thought this was actually a male, but actually this is a female. The males get a more greener coloration, but really, really stunning fish. Okay, when you go inside, the first thing that you enter is this exhibit called the Living Reef. And essentially, it's like a science exhibit about coral biology and coral taxonomy. It's dedicated to Professor Ruth Gates, who passed away recently. She's from the Hawaiian Institute of Marine Biology. I really like this exhibit because, very rarely do you see a lot of scientific content in aquarium. But here it is, an exhibit dedicated to coral biology, diversity, and taxonomy. So I spent a good 30 minutes just reading all of the different notes and so on. Really well done. I mean, the corals don't look that great, but the scientific content is great. Then you walk into a South Pacific marine community group of exhibits, and essentially they're kind of trying to create specific ecotypes of reefs that you would see in the South Pacific. So you have your lagoon, you have like a community and partnership tank, anemones and clownfish. You had a lagoon exhibit, which has some really lovely angelfish. The funny thing about this is it kind of looked like my Red Sea Reefer 250, right? My green plating Monty, lovely bubble coral, which I never had. But if you look on all the lower rocks, you see those indigo mushrooms, which took over my Red Sea Reefer 250, and you could kind of see them taking over now. So I had a little bit of a chuckle that like my Red Sea Reefer 250 looked a little bit like this at one point in time. But definitely the highlight of the South Pacific exhibit is the tank that you're going to see next. It is a Great Barrier Reef, essentially, ecotype. It's a massive tank, almost 6,000 gallons, and it's just got an amazing diversity of corals, lots of very colorful corals, colorful fish. I think there was definitely some supplemental lighting, but you could tell that it was also getting a lot of sunlight because if a cloud shifts and all of a sudden you got the sunlight hitting all the corals and it just looked beautiful. I love the aquascape here. I love the depth of the tank. I like how they did kind of different little shelves. They did have like a famous really old and really massive giant clam. They tried to move it to re-aquascape the tank about a year ago, and unfortunately the clam died. So if you're going there recently to see the giant clam, it's no longer there, but still a fantastic tank. You know, I've been snorkeling and diving in the Great Barrier Reef, and this gives you like a really good idea of what that experience is like. Definitely one of the highlight, probably maybe not the number one, but close to the number one display tank that they had there. It's just beautiful aquarium, really unique fish. The harlequin tusk I've never seen in one in real life, and you have like anemones and anemone fishes. So very, very beautiful tank. Okay, then the next set of exhibits is kind of dedicated towards showcasing some of the unique ecosystems and reefs that you find in Hawaii. One quick thing is the corals in Hawaii are not as colorful as I thought they would be. They're definitely not as colorful as kind of the corals you get in the Great Barrier Reef or the Red Sea. They're still kind of pretty in their own shape, but just so you know that like whenever you see the Hawaiian tanks, it's going to be lacking a little bit of color, but the fish I think make up for it. They have a really interesting group of fish, and there's a lot of like endemisms, some fish that you only get in Hawaiian Island. One of my favorite was this exhibit on deep reefs, and that included some really cool wrasses. So what you're seeing here is a sunrise hawkfish and the Hawaiian fairy flame wrasse. Cool, so cool. It's just, they're so bright. They're like unbelievably bright. And to get a chance to kind of see them when normally like you would have to be scuba diving really deep to see the hawkfish, because I think they're way deeper than like 100 or 150 feet. Anyway, it was just so cool to get to see them. You guys know that I love wrasses. The hawkfish was beautiful, but the flame wrasse, man, are they ever colorful. Next tank in the exhibit had this really cool and grumpy moray eel. I forgot the name, but it was so fun getting to kind of watch him or her. Moray eels always look kind of grumpy. For the most part, they're kind of, maybe harmless. It might not be the best word, but they're, you'd have to really go out of your way to to piss them off and get them to attack you. But they certainly look very menacing with those fangs and an open mouth. Okay, next up was predator tank, like an ultimate predator tank. It featured a giant grouper, two white-tipped reef sharks, I think that's a proper name, as well as a zebra shark, which you'll get to see on the sandbed a little bit, and several kind of smaller jacks. I really enjoyed this tank. I mean, who doesn't want to see sharks kind of swimming in circle, looking all graceful? This is the zebra shark on the sand. Sorry, I got tangs on my mind. And the grouper is really massive. It's a little bit hard to appreciate the scale of and the size of these fish, but yeah, you'll see in next frame or so. I kind of put my hand up against the glass, so you get a sense of like how massive this grouper is. He was kind of curious about me. I thought maybe he was expecting some food or something, or maybe he just thought my hand looked very tasty. But yeah, groupers, like large groupers, are really impressive fish. So yeah, not reef safe with caution. Can you imagine having a grouper of the size in a small little container? That would just be kind of criminal. Anyway, I'm gonna end this tank with a slow-mo of the sharks kind of circling. I did actually see one of these when I was diving, and you'll see that in a different video. But very beautiful fish. One of my favorite displays in the diversity and adaptation area is the leaf scorpionfish. And it sways, like there's no current in this tank, but this fish is swaying around as if it was a leaf being kind of blown by the current. Very cool. I've never seen it before. And I just thought, like, in terms of mimicry of behavior of like a leaf kind of moving around in current. I thought that was really brilliant. Next up, I forgot which exhibit this tank belonged in. It had a Tamini tank, which first attracted my attention. Like, hey, I have that fish in my tank. And then this beautiful gold flake angel swam by. I've never seen one in real life, and man, like, it is so beautiful. The gold really kind of like comes up. It's a beautiful, beautiful fish. If you ever get a chance to like buy one for your tank, wow, it is stunning. They also have one spot fox, which I also had in my tank. Okay, probably the highlight of the entire aquarium was this tank, which is kind of a Northwestern reef in Hawaii. It had an amazing diversity of fish, an amazing diversity of corals. Some of my favorite is the Hawaiian cleaner wrasse, and you can see him here or her going around to the tanks, the anthias, and the other wrasses and kind of cleaning them. Very, very beautiful fish. You can see he's kind of asking the tank if you want to be cleaned. The tank is like, yeah, maybe, I don't know about this. Very cool. I've never seen one in real life before, so I really appreciate it, how beautiful they are. The tank, there's a bird wrasse. The tank is also lit by a combination of artificial lights, but also sunlight. And again, when the light shines from above, like the clouds kind of go away, it truly creates this glow over the reef that it just makes it so beautiful and majestic. Again, it features a lot of Hawaiian fish that are native to Northwestern reefs. Some beautiful pyramid butterflies, convict tangs, lots and lots of different varieties of tangs, butterfly fish, dwarf angelfish, wrasses. It was just kind of so pretty. Corals, maybe not as bright as you would expect. There's a lovely giant cowrie, tiger cowrie up on the top, and some cool urchins. The tank had some cool surge devices. Every few minutes you get this massive surge of wave that just shoots across the tank. And yeah, I could like this it has a crosshatch triggerfish, which are beautiful, but it also has this like pink tailed triggerfish, which is just as beautiful. Yeah, again, really unique fish that I've never seen before, always kind of dreamt about seeing, and like here they are in the aquarium. So if you're a fish person, you're gonna have a lot of fun looking at fish in this tank. And just again, the aquascape and how they laid out this tank, I believe it's about 4,000 gallons. It was really well done. What more can I say about this? I think somewhere here was one of my favorite wrasses that was super shy. They had like a potter's leopard wrasse. I think I showed it. So what happens here, this is the same tank, is just what changed was the sun just started shining on the top, and you could see how it just added a little bit extra color to all the corals and more kind of dynamic range. So it's kind of fun just sitting watching these tanks and watching as the cloud covers go, the color really changes. They do employ a very unusual form of cleanup crew. It's the Homo sapien snail. I want one of these guys for my tank. It was fun when he's just, here's the Potter's leopard wrasse. I'm a big fan of wrasses. I always wanted to see a Potter's leopard wrasse while I was visiting Hawaii, and I haven't seen one in a natural reef yet, but it was good to get a chance to kind of see one in this tank. So I think this tank was the highlight of I mean, it's hard to choose. The Great Barrier Reef display was also phenomenal, and the outdoor pond was also phenomenal. But just getting to see these kind of unique fish that are some of them are endemic to Hawaii, and some of them are like super common in Hawaii, and getting a chance to kind of see things that you get to see while you're snorkeling and diving around the island, I kind of really appreciated that experience. So there are many other tanks that I'm not going to show you. So I'm going to roll the video of these other tanks here, and just overall, I'll tell you my quick thoughts about the Waikiki Aquarium. Definitely, it was very clear that this aquarium was done to not just entertain people, but to educate people. So I would say the scientific content and the educational content here were, substantially greater than some of the other aquariums that I visited. And I visited a lot of aquariums. So the display might not be as impressive like if you go to Ripley's Aquarium in Toronto, right? That their Shark Tank is kind of phenomenal. I've seen some really nice coral displays, but just the scientific content that you get here and the focus on some of the local ecotypes in Hawaii, I thought that was brilliant. And it was kind of clear that there was the Hawaiian Institute of Marine Biology was involved in the design of this because, again, the information and the scientific content was pretty high. So, if you love fish, if you love corals, and you just happen to be in Hawaii, I would certainly put the Waikiki Aquarium as something that you certainly go out there and visit. And actually, if you're able to go and visit before you do any snorkeling and diving, I think you're going to get a much greater appreciation of the fish and much better knowledge of the fish and the corals that you're going to see while you're diving or snorkeling in Hawaii. All right, thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you later.